Your heart has been beating the same way for decades, but what if I told you that scientists just discovered a drug that can literally make an old stiff heart young again, elasticity and all? In mouse tests, they didn't just slow aging, they reversed it. A heart that had lost its bounce got it back. And we're talking about one of the most common types of heart failure that affects millions of people worldwide. This isn't theoretical, it's happening in labs right now. And it might be coming to you a lot sooner than you think. Welcome back to Mind and Marvel. Today we're breaking down one of the most exciting cardiac breakthroughs in recent years. Most people think of heart failure as a weak heart that can't pump blood, and yes, that's one type, but there's another type that's actually more common in older adults, and it's a completely different problem. In this second type, called heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, or HFpEF, if you want to sound like a cardiologist at a dinner party, the heart actually pumps just fine. The problem: the heart muscle gets stiff. It's like a rubber band that's been dried out in the sun. Your heart physically cannot relax and fill with blood properly between beats. Imagine trying to inflate a balloon that's become rigid and brittle. That's what happens to stiff hearts, and here's the scary part. There's currently no effective medication that reduces mortality in HFpEF patients. Millions of older people are suffering from a disease that medicine can't really fix. Until now. Before we get into the solution, let's understand the disease better. As we age, our muscles stiffen. That's just part of getting older. Your shoulder joints get stiffer, your knees get stiffer, your lower back gets stiffer. But the one muscle where stiffness is truly catastrophic: your heart. At the center of this stiffness is a giant protein called titin. Think of titin as a molecular spring inside your heart cells. When you're young, your titin springs are super elastic. They can extend and contract beautifully. But as you age, your heart cells produce a different version of titin, a stiffer version, to increase pumping efficiency. This is actually smart from an evolutionary standpoint. Your young heart needs flexibility for growth. Your adult heart needs efficiency for sustained work. But here's the problem. When this stiffening goes too far, your heart becomes too rigid to relax. Normally, your heart has two jobs: pump and relax. Pump and relax. Like a sponge squeezing out water, then expanding to soak up more. With HFpEF, the pump part still works fine, but the relax and fill part, that's broken. Your heart can't expand properly to receive blood. So what happens? Blood backs up into your lungs. Fluid accumulates, you get shortness of breath, especially with exercise, fatigue, swelling in your legs, all the classic heart failure symptoms. And here's the cruel part. HFpEF is especially common in older adults, women, and people with conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, or obesity. Up to half of all heart failure patients have HFpEF. That's millions of people worldwide with no effective treatment. Until now. Scientists at the Max Delbruck Center in Berlin, working with researchers at the University of Arizona, developed something remarkable: a drug called RBM20 ASO. Now don't let the technical name intimidate you. What this drug does is elegantly simple. RBM20 is a master control switch inside your heart cells. It's a splicing factor, essentially a protein that decides whether your heart cells should make elastic titin or stiff titin. As you age, RBM20 becomes overactive. It keeps telling your heart cells, make the stiff version, make the stiff version, make the stiff version. The drug RBM20 ASO is what's called an antisense oligonucleotide. Basically, it's a short strand of DNA that interferes with RBM20. Think of it like jamming a stick in the gears of a machine. By reducing RBM20 levels by about half, the drug shifts the balance. Instead of constantly producing stiff titin, your heart cells start making more of the elastic titin variant, the same type found in young hearts. And here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. The researchers tested this in mice that didn't just have heart failure. These mice had heart failure plus all the comorbidities that human patients have. We're talking about obesity, high blood pressure, elevated blood lipids, high blood sugar. This is real-world disease, not a simplified lab scenario. And guess what happened when they gave the mice RBM20 ASO? The mice's hearts became markedly more compliant. That's the medical term for stretchy and able to expand. The ventricles, the main pumping chambers, could now fill with blood properly. The drug reduced left ventricular stiffness significantly. Abnormal thickening of the heart muscle, reduced. Diastolic function, improved. This is the relaxation phase that HFpEF patients desperately need. And critically, this happened even with the comorbidities still present. The drug didn't need everything to be perfect. It worked in the messy, complicated reality of actual disease. The researchers also found the optimal dose. Reducing RBM20 by about half was enough to restore cardiac function without causing problematic side effects. Not half-hearted, not overdone, just right. Understanding why this works reveals something profound about aging and biology. Your DNA doesn't just sit there, it's constantly being read, edited, and adjusted. When a gene is transcribed, when your cells read the instructions from DNA, the process isn't simple. It's like reading a book where you can skip certain chapters. This is called alternative splicing. The same gene can produce slightly different proteins depending on which parts get included or excluded. The Titin gene is massive. It's actually the largest known gene in the human genome. It can be spliced in different ways to create elastic titin or stiff titin. RBM20 is the master conductor that orchestrates these splicing choices. In young hearts, RBM20 activity allows more elastic titin to be produced. But with aging and disease, especially with conditions like diabetes and hypertension, RBM20 goes haywire. It increasingly favors stiff titin production. By reducing RBM20 with the drug, researchers essentially tell the heart cells, make the young titin, make the elastic one, make the spring-like version. And here's what's beautiful. This isn't about destroying or eliminating any proteins. It's about rebalancing. It's about shifting the ratio from 70% stiff and 30% elastic back toward 40% stiff and 60% elastic. More like a young heart. Now here's a key insight. Titin proteins get broken down and rebuilt every 3 to 4 days. So the moment you stop making stiff titin and start making elastic titin, your heart begins to heal. It's like replacing the bricks in a wall. Every few days, new bricks go up. If the new bricks are flexible and bouncy instead of rigid and brittle, the wall becomes flexible and bouncy. The drug essentially convinces your own cells to remake themselves into a younger, healthier version. It's not adding anything foreign, it's not forcing something artificial, it's restoring the heart's own natural flexibility. So, we've got a drug that works in complicated mouse models, but why should you care? Because HFpEF is a massive, underserved medical problem. Picture this, you're 68 years old. You've had high blood pressure for a decade, you're slightly overweight, you're noticing you get tired faster. Climbing stairs leaves you breathless. You visit your cardiologist, they run tests, they tell you that you have heart failure with preserved ejection fraction. Your heart's pumping strength is fine, but it's too stiff to relax and fill properly. Then comes the difficult part. Your cardiologist probably says, there's no medication that's specifically proven to reduce mortality in your type of heart failure. We can manage your symptoms, but there's no cure. That's the current reality for tens of millions of HFpEF patients. We have treatments for weak hearts, but for stiff hearts, we've been stuck. This drug, if it pans out in human trials, changes that conversation completely. Imagine if that 68-year-old could take a medication that doesn't just manage symptoms but actually restores their heart's elasticity. Imagine if they could feel young again. The research suggests this might be possible. And the beauty is that the drug was designed to work even when patients have complications. Real HFpEF patients don't have just one problem, they have high blood pressure, and diabetes, and obesity, and high cholesterol. This drug worked in those messy, complicated scenarios. That's huge for translation to humans. Professor Michael Gotthard, one of the lead researchers, said, "Our treatment significantly reduced left ventricular stiffness and abnormal thickening of the heart muscle, even in the presence of persistent comorbidities." Translation: this isn't some miracle cure that only works in perfect conditions. This works in the real world. Now, let me be clear about what this research is and what it isn't. This is a mouse study. The drug worked beautifully in mice, but mice are not humans. We've seen countless amazing mouse studies that didn't translate to humans. The researchers are already planning human trials, but those are still ahead. Best case scenario, we might see early human data in a couple of years, but we're probably looking at 5 to 10 years before this could potentially be available to patients. There are still questions that need answering. Will it work as well in humans as mice? What are the long-term safety profiles? How will it interact with other medications HFpEF patients are taking? Also, the drug is an antisense oligonucleotide. And that's a relatively new class of drugs. Regulatory approval is more complex than with traditional small molecules. Dosing and administration still need to be optimized. But here's what makes this genuinely different. For the first time, we have a mechanism that actually addresses the fundamental problem in HFpEF, abnormal titin stiffness. We're not just treating symptoms, we're targeting the root cause. That's why cardiologists are genuinely excited about this research. Let's recap what we learned today. Heart failure with preserved ejection fraction is a common type of heart failure where the heart can't relax and fill properly because the muscle becomes too stiff. This affects millions of people, especially older adults, and there's currently no effective treatment. Scientists developed a drug called RBM20 ASO that reduces the activity of a protein that controls whether heart cells make elastic or stiff titin springs. By reducing RBM20 levels, the drug shifts heart cells back toward making elastic titin, the kind found in young hearts, restoring the heart's flexibility and ability to fill with blood. In mouse models, even mice with obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure, the drug worked. It reduced stiffness, it improved filling, it reversed the aging process of the heart. We're still years away from human trials and longer before potential clinical availability, but for the first time, we have real hope for a treatment that doesn't just manage HFpEF symptoms, it could actually reverse them. This is what precision medicine looks like, identifying the root cause, targeting it, and restoring the organ's youthful function. And that could be transformative for millions of aging hearts worldwide. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with heart failure, especially HFpEF, this research gives real reason to hope. And if this video gave you that hope, or if it taught you something new about how your heart ages, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Mind and Marvel to stay updated as this research progresses. Human trials will eventually happen, and we'll cover them. Drop a comment if you have questions about HFpEF, or if this breakthrough resonates with you personally. Our community is thoughtful and supportive. Thanks for watching, and keep marveling at the science that's literally keeping you alive.